the big three. Are we sure the Chiefs count as being that? I know that they deserve our praise because, in the week to week league, let alone year to year. Okay, they've been in the mix and deserve mentioning as a Super Bowl contender for 5 years now, and I'm including this season, 6 weeks in here. But are you sure that this is a team that is head and shoulders above anybody besides? I mean, the Bills took care of them. The Eagles have yet to lose, so of course they go above the Chiefs, I would think, right?
Yes.
And the the Chiefs at home lost to the Bills. They should have lost to the Raiders. The overturn of the Devontae Adams catch late
That was the right call.
last Monday
That was the
night.
right call.
No, no, no. You can't overturn that. If you called on the field a no catch, I would be okay with it. Go back and look at that. He does possess the ball, and certainly you can't overturn that one. So the Raiders maybe win that game, or likely win that game. I think the way field goal kickers are going these days, and of course the Chargers, if not for a ridiculous defensive hold that was called a phantom hold late in the
Shaq,
first half, the
stop.
Chargers smoked
Shaq,
that team.
you're above
Come on.
this. You're above this, Shaq. You sound like me talking about the
What?
Patriots from like 2002 to 2018 or 19. Like, oh no, they're not this good because they should have lost this game and this shouldn't have happened and this should have happened. But the Chiefs are one of those teams. They're a great team, well run, well coached, with one of the best quarterbacks ever, and they always do find a way. But the bigger thing with it is this, Shaq. Like, you could argue that the Chiefs maybe aren't, that maybe it should be seen as a big two with the Eagles, of course, and the Bills. But tell me anyone else that should be nipping at the Chiefs' heels at number 3, because that's why it's so strange. I think this is my 4th year doing the power rankings, and I've never been in a situation where I am entering week 7 here, where there are 3 teams that I know are the top 3 teams in my mind. And then starting with number 4, like, I'm thinking, like, are the 5-1 Vikings number 4 in the power rankings? No, the Vikings aren't that good. But who goes above the Vikings? Like, it's a very strange landscape in the league right now. And I think the Chiefs, even though they maybe are not the Chiefs of a couple of years ago, they're still a studly team that went punch for punch with the Bills, came out on the wrong end on Sunday. But still, to me, they're one of the very best teams in a league that is very, you could say, watered down. You could say parity is taken over to the next level. But I still think the Bills are a cut above all these other teams.
That's my theme of the week is, and I don't mean to be a curmudgeon about it. It is what it is. But parity sucks, and so the NFL season so far leaves me uninspired. I mean, exactly right. Yes, I feel for you legitimately trying to evaluate. Like, no, they're the 11th best team. Now the 12th best, like, they're all the same teams. And by the way, that also is true at the bottom of the barrel. Outside of one or two teams, there's no abject garbage really either. So it's just a big wash of nothing. And I fear that, let me float. This is something I've seen mounting for the last couple of years. Let me lay
Mm-hmm.
this theory on you. Parity has existed now for at least 20 years in pro football, but the Belichick Brady Patriots obscured it with their bizarre ability to knuckleball their way past all the rules that exist for the other 31 NFL franchises. And they did football a favor by emerging as this evil empire, much like your New York Yankees did in the late stages of the last millennium. And that's good for sports. You need to have an evil empire, at least one loathsome bunch that most of America is rooting against. The Patriots were that, but without that, we're just in the abyss. If it's a year-to-year league and somebody's good, and like, oh, Josh Allen's Bills, are they first of all, they don't present as loathsome, and I don't know what it's going to take for them to get there. And by the way, I have no axe to grind with the Chiefs. They haven't done anything to hurt me. I mean, they beat the Steelers last year. I didn't have any expectation that the Steelers were going
Mm-hmm.
to go into Arrowhead and knock them off in the wild card round. That was one of those happy to be there kind of things. But you get what
Oh, yeah.
I'm getting at here. This is like, I bellyached for years about college football and it being too top heavy, that there are 4 or 5 teams that possess all the talent and therefore all the gold at the end of the season. The opposite, though, is not good for pro football. If it's just like, just wait for your number to come up, eventually it'll come up in the great game of bingo in the NFL. Eventually your number is going to come up out of the ping pong shooter thing. Hey, listen up, sports fan. This message is for you. Your first bet with Caesar Sportsbook and Casino, it's on Caesars. Up to $1,250. Download the app with promo code CZRFULL and place your first bet. If you win, muzzle tough. If you don't, you'll get it all back as a free bet. That first bet also gives you 1,000 tier credits and 1,000 reward credits, putting you closer to the types of perks, game tickets, experiences, and more.
You're a student of the game, Shek. You know the history of it as well as anybody. Like, I think we're just in one of those transition periods, kind of similar to how, the Cowboys dynasty ended in 96 or so. And then the Patriots, even though they won in 01, that dynasty really started to me around 03. So maybe we're in that, like, a 5-year window here, post Patriots, where there's going to be another team. And, I see what you're saying. I think it's always good to have the big bully. But at the same time, for fan bases like my favorite team and everyone else that's been downtrodden, there is an excitement to this season. This idea that, like, we saw what happened with Cincinnati last year, who at the beginning of last season on my power rankings were in the low 20s, maybe even like 30 or something. And they end up coming within a drive of winning the Super Bowl. There is a anarchy to the setup where you feel like anything could happen because, one of those, again, the big three to me, Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, like if something goes wrong with any of those teams, it's even going to be more madness in the league. So yes, it's always good to have that bully. And I think you did nail the other thing about what's going on with the league, because there's the teams that we thought entering the season that would be good, very good, have all seemed to come down. And then all the teams that we thought were going to be wretched, bottom feeders, they seem to have improved. So it just created this giant soft underbelly that for everyone, we're trying to figure out what the league is. And it's kind of like a big mass, a blob that you're trying to find form to. And there's just nothing there right now.
Yeah, I mean, and the bottom line for me is I find it unsatisfying because ultimately I'm not I'm not one of those weird curmudgeons who's like, when the game is 13-10, they're like, this, I know I'm in the minority.
Oh my God, don't get me started on that. Well, Rosenthal and Sessler, whenever this happens, I actually like this game. They were talking about the Thursday night game last week, and I'm like pulling out my hair. I'm like, are you kidding me? Come on now. 12-7 is not a good game.
I love dominant defense. Obviously, I love dominant defense. That's
your thing.
It's fun to watch that. And I also love watching Tennessee and Bama get into triple-digit scores, too. And I like the shootouts. I love the Rams and Chiefs in the Coliseum a few years ago. But I feared that might become football forever, right? That every game was going to become sort of insane shootout where no one ever stops anybody, and that wouldn't be satisfying. Ultimately, I want entertaining. And so far, most of the games have not been terribly entertaining. I think that's the real issue, right?
Shoot, I've heard this, and now you're saying it, it's making me maybe look at things in a different light. I haven't sensed like I'm watching bad football, but to your point, Tom Brady said it a week ago in his press conference. Tom Brady, who just seems like the most unhappy man in the world right now, but that's a whole other discussion.
Yes, indeed.
They asked him about, what's going on in the league right now. And he very matter-of-factly responded in his press conference. Like, I'm watching a lot of bad football. I'm just watching a lot of teams playing bad football. So yeah, maybe this is just a strange
Hey, Tom,
year.
I watched you in Acrisure on Sunday. I was watching some bad football there.
You're calling it Acrisure, huh?
Gee. Well, I have to. It's the law, I don't want to wind up in the pokey over there on the banks of the Three Rivers. They'll lock me up for that. Actually, I think I would be a hero for not
That's
abiding.
That's bad. Acrisure is bad.
Entities.
That's a rough one. That's a rough one.
Especially in the
But
dude, you can go to Acrisure.
I'm getting Acrisure.
You're going to go downtown there, up in the north side. Yeah, Acrisure. You know what? What'd you say? Acrisure.
Acrisure.